Hey guys, it's Smeep here and I'm coming at you from the Game Throne. This is a video on some basic tips for hardcore mode on the Resident Evil 2 remake. If this video helps you, please remember to subscribe and stay to the very end for a couple of bonus tips as well. The video should be almost completely spoiler free, so if you are new to the game, that's exactly what this is for. If you're like me and always dive in at the deep end and do things on the hardest difficulty because you think that's the way it's got to be done, come to this video for tips and advice. Other than that, let's get going. Tip number 1 is do not kill zombies. It's a complete waste of ammo. Instead, shoot them in the leg, and when they stagger, you have a couple of seconds to sneak by them. You can stagger them multiple times, you can even shoot their leg off. We'll cover more about that later. But again, don't try to aim at their head to stun them, especially with a controller. It's much easier with a mouse and keyboard, but their head wobbles from side to side so much the legs are way easier to hit, and it gives you just that brief moment of respite that you need to bypass a zombie. It can be difficult with multiple zombies, but with a bit of praying to RNGesus, you'll be fine. Okay, tip number 2, and again these are in no particular order, is save often. The game tricks you into thinking you've got limited saves by giving you this idea of limited amounts of ink ribbons. Don't worry about that. If you think you need to save the game. There are plenty of ink ribbons throughout the game, and you can always redo a section if you think you didn't do well enough. Tips 3, 4 and 5 all kind of blend into one. So tip number 3 is don't waste extra ammunition on checking if a zombie is dead. When a zombie goes down in this game, it quite often looks like it's dead, but it's not actually. So instead of wasting the ammo on checking if it's dead, walk away. If you put another bullet into that zombie, all you're going to do is reanimate it and make it a threat again. Leave it where it is, but do be mindful that Resident Evil 2 Remake is quite good at remembering which zombies are alive and which ones aren't. So when you backtrack through that corridor later, just be mindful that that zombie might still be alive. Tip number 4 is if you can't do tip number 3, use the knife instead to finish the zombie. Shoot it down by taking out its legs. Finish it with the knife. It's quite easy to stun lock these zombies by getting behind them, behind the teeth, and repeatedly knifing them. Every time they try to get up, they'll fall over as long as you keep up the pace. And last but not least, there are plenty of corpses around. So tip number 5 is, in general, if there's a corpse, don't interfere with it. If it is alive and you shoot it, you're just making it a threat. A lot of corpses are just there to scare you. Leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. And you'll learn which ones you do need to actually fight. Tip number 6 is relatively straightforward. Long-term fans of the series will think that using first aid sprays is a bad thing. In this game, it's the other way around. Use your first aid sprays first and save as many herbs, blue, red and green, as you can for later in the game. Trust me on that one. You're going to need them and it will make the end part of the game much easier. Okay, tip number 7 is never fight a horde. Always run, save your ammunition. Tip number 8 is if you have emergency weapons or survival weapons, use them ahead of time, not as a reaction. They are way more effective when thrown or used on purpose than they are if you get caught by a zombie and press the emergency button. Just look how much time this flash grenade actually gives you. Tip 9 is memorize which direction your sub-weapons are on the D-pad in order to avoid slowdown. Changing sub-weapon slows your character down unless you just tap LB and the direction you need to go. Tip number 10 is about one of the scariest Resident Evil bad guys there's ever been, the Licker. Terrifying in RE2, terrifying in RE2 Remake. The game does tell you that these guys are blind and you can creep around to avoid them. However, what it doesn't tell you is they're almost completely deaf as well. You can walk at full pace. As long as you're not sprinting, shooting or slamming doors, they cannot hear you. If you're a speedrunner or you're trying to get a high rank, S+ rank, this is useful to know. Tip number 11 is about effective gunpowder use. In general, make the most powerful ammunition that you can to make the end game easier. However, as a bonus tip, on a full search playthrough, I had 6 to 7 amounts of gunpowder left that I could use to make regular ammunition. But again, always focus on the high-end stuff to make the end game easier. And for a couple of bonus tips, don't forget that the bigger a zombie is, the more ammunition it takes to bring down. Also, Mr. X can hear you as well as see you. That's been it from me. Please consider subscribing, liking, and all the other things that YouTubers ask you to do, because it really, really helps me out. I hope that this video has been some kind of help to you, and if there's anything you want to see Resident Evil wise, let me know. I will be working on more boss videos and the S plus rank videos. But again, if you don't tell me what you want to see, I can't give it to you. Thanks for watching. Peace out.